We Are One Body Audio Theater presents Father Brown and the Eye of Apollo by G.K. Chesterton.
Hold the lift! Merci, mademoiselle.
Going down?
Well, yes, but where is the lift operator?
I haven't the slightest idea. But it's all right. I know all about lifts. If you'll excuse me, I'll just close the gate. Was that your office?
Oui. Monsieur Flambeau. I am a private detective.
Pauline Stockton. My sister, Jane, and I have an office just below.
Ah, then we are neighbors. How charming.
Yes, charming.
What do you and your sister do?
We assist young women in finding positions as typists and secretaries.
Ah.
You said you were a detective?
But yes, I used to be something very different. But now I solve crimes as best I can, anyway.
Very interesting.
But tell me, why do you not wait for the lift operator?
I'm not dependent on a man to operate machinery for me. I am a modern working woman, and I love modern working machinery. It's the way of the future. Everyone ought to be able to manage machines, just as I can manage the lift.
Is this your floor?
Yes, it is.
Allow me to open the gate for you.
I don't need you to open it.
After you, mademoiselle.
Thank you.
Oh, Pauline, there you are. Look, I got you these new spectacles. They should help with your eyes.
Jane, don't taunt me with the sickly medical notions and morbid admissions of weakness implied by such an apparatus.
But, Pauline, you need them.
I dare you to bring such artificial, unhealthy rubbish into this place ever again. Next, you'll be expecting me to wear wooden legs or false hair or a glass eye.
Forgive me, Mademoiselle Pauline, but why would a pair of spectacles be a more morbid sign of weakness than a lift? And why, if science might help us in one instant, it might not help us in the other?
That is so different. Batteries and motors and all those things are marks of the force of man. Yes, Mr. Flambeau, and the force of woman too. We shall take our turn at these great engines that devour distance and defy time. That is high and splendid. That is really science. But these nasty props and plasters the doctors sell, why, they are just badges of balderdash. Doctors stick on legs and arms as if we were born cripples and sick slaves. But I was free-born, Mr. Flambeau. People only think they need these things because they have been trained in fear, instead of being trained in power and courage. Just as silly parents tell their children not to stare at the sun, and so they can't do it without blinking. But why, among the stars, should there be one star I may not see? The sun is not my master, and I will open my eyes and stare at him whenever I choose.
Your eyes, mademoiselle, will dazzle the sun.
What?
Good day, ladies.
Good day, sir.
Do you need help with the lift?
No, I too can operate modern machinery. Au revoir. Why, Father Brown, I think you are muted.
Thank you for meeting me here, my friend. I've come up to London just so seldom, but whenever I do, I always try to visit this cafe.
The owner is a former parishioner of mine, you see, and I like to see how my friends are doing.
Like me, eh, Father Brown? First you turn me from a thief into an honest man, and then you check in on me to make sure I'm making good.
Oh, no, it's not like that at all. I only meant...
I know, mon père, I know. I only joke with you. Now, come, let us finish here, and I will show you my new office.
Ah, yes, I am eager to see it. You said it's on the 3rd floor of a new building?
Indeed, and there is even a modern little lift that will carry us up as swiftly and as silently as you could wish.
Ah, excellent. Well, I am finished. Shall we go?
Oui. Wait there. Check, s'il vous plaît. Ah, merci. Let us go. Come, it is right around the corner.
I know you said it is a new building. Are you the only tenant?
No, there are 2 others, 2 sisters, rent the office below me, and they are typists, although I have heard that their family is very wealthy.
And yet they need to work.
I don't think they need to. From what I understand, they choose to. I believe it is what do you call it, a cause, something they believe in.
Ah, I see. And who else rents office space in your building?
Well, there is a man who rents the floor above me. He is a, well, what shall I call him?
O sun, O star that art too great to be allowed among the stars.
Ah, there he is now.
Who on earth is that, and what is he doing?
That is Kalon. He is the prophet of Apollo. I don't know what his real name is, though, except that it can't be that. He is the renter of the office above me. He is the founder of one of those new religions from America. The kind that forgive your sins by saying you never had any. Rather like Christian Science, I should think.
O fountain that flowest quietly in that secret spot that is called space.
But what is he doing out on that little balcony so high up?
He worships Apollo. Every day he comes out on that balcony at noon and prays to the sun.
White giver of all white unwearied things, white flames and white flowers and white peaks.
Well, let him look out. The sun, Apollo, was the cruelest of all gods. But what is that monstrous eye painted on the wood above his head?
His signboard? As I understand it, it is a theory of his that a man can endure anything if the eye of his mind is quite steady. His religion's 2 great symbols are the sun and the open eye. For they say that if a man were really healthy, he could stare at the sun.
Well, if a man were really healthy, he would not bother to stare at the sun.
O Apollo, who art more innocent than all thy most innocent and quiet children.
Well, that's all I can tell you about his new religion. It claims, of course, that it can cure all physical diseases.
But can it cure the one spiritual disease?
And what is the one spiritual disease?
Oh, thinking one is quite well, of course.
Primal purity into the peace of which all life flows.
What was
Give
that?
us your warmth, your light.
It came from inside.
Give us your warmth, your light.
Oh, I really think someone may be hurt.
You are right. Let us go.
Where do you think?
The lift shaft. Oh, sacre bleu. It is Mademoiselle Pauline.
Oh, dear.
Smashed to bits.
Oh, receive her soul, Lord, and may her perpetual light be shown upon us.
Who could have done this?
But perhaps we should go upstairs to her office and see if we can find out.
You are right. Come. Here. This is the office where Pauline works. Worked with her sister.
But where is her sister?
Where indeed? Mademoiselle Jane? Mademoiselle Jane?
Have you found her?
No.
Is there anywhere else in the building she might be?
Perhaps she has gone up to the office that the Sun Prophet has. She does occasionally type up some of his litanies.
Well, I suppose the next thing we should do is see if she's there.
Yes, I will call. Bien, I will call and find out.
Yes, do call her.
Hello? Ah, Davidson. Davidson is the prophet's secretary. Is Mademoiselle Jane with you? She is. Then you better send her down here, and Monsieur Kalon as well. Oui. Merci. They are on their way.
Oh, good. Poor girl.
Indeed. Poor Pauline. So young, so beautiful.
Yes, so young. May God receive her soul. It is a pity. I rather suspect.
I thought I heard a scream.
My dear child, I am sorry to have to tell you that your sister is dead.
What? Pauline?
Oui, mademoiselle.
I am so sorry, my dear.
Terrible occurrence. Of all the... Oh, Pauline.
Yes, of all the people. Prophet, I wish you would tell me about your religion.
My religion now?
Yes, now.
I shall be proud to do it. What would you like to know?
Well, it's like this. First, we are taught that if a man has really bad first principles, that must be partly his fault. But for all that, we can make some difference between a man who insults his quite clear conscience and a man with a conscience more or less clouded with sophistries. Now, do you really think that murder is wrong at all?
Is this an accusation?
No, it is a speech for the defense.
You would accuse me, you meddling little priest. Your church and mine are the only realities on this earth. I adore the sun, and you love the darkening of the sun. You are the priest of the dying, and I of the living God. You would convince humanity of sin. I would convince them of virtue.
What does this have to do with the man?
You said you were offering the speech for the defense. I care so little for the cloudland of this life that I will offer you the speech for the prosecution. There is but one thing that can be said against me in this matter, and I will say it myself. The woman who is dead was my love and my bride, not after such manner as your chapels call lawful, but by law purer and sterner than you will ever understand. Well, I know that policemen, theological and otherwise, always fancy that where there has been love, there must soon be hatred. So there you have the first point made for the prosecution. But the second point is stronger. I do not grudge it to you. Not only is it true that Pauline loved me, but it is also true that this very morning, before she died, she wrote a will leaving me and my new church $500,000. Come now, where are the handcuffs?
The man is mad.
In a few words, I have put before you the whole case against me. The only possible case against me. In fewer words still, I will blow it to pieces. As to whether I committed this crime, the truth is in one sentence. I could not have committed this crime. I heard Pauline Stockton scream at 12:05. 100 people will go into the witness box and say that I was standing out upon just before the stroke of noon to a quarter past, the usual period of my public prayers. My clerk Davidson will also swear that I was on the balcony that whole time. No one ever had so complete an alibi. I could subpoena half of Westminster. I think you'd better put the handcuffs away. The case is at an end.
Well, if that is so, sir, you need do no more than take Miss Pauline's last will and testament and go. I wonder where the poor lady left it.
It will be over there on her desk by the door, I think. She told me specially she would write it this morning. And I actually saw her writing as I went up in the lift to my own room.
You saw her? Was the door open then?
Yes.
Ah, and it has been open ever since?
There is a paper on her desk.
Yes, here it is. Come, look, father. I give and bequeath all of which I die possessed. But what is this? The writing abruptly stops with a set of scratches, and there is no trace of the name of any legatee.
Give me that. No, it cannot be. Why, what monkey tricks have you been playing here, Jane? That can't be the right document.
That is the only thing on her desk.
See here, you nasty devil woman. I believe that you're a murderess. Yes, gentlemen, here's your death explained. Pauline is writing a will in my favor. Her cursed sister comes in, struggles for the pen, drags her to the well of the lift, and throws her down before she can finish it. Sakes, I reckon we want the handcuffs after all.
As you have truly remarked, your clerk is a very respectable young man who knows the nature of an oath, and he will swear in any court that I was up in your office arranging some typewriting work for 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after my sister fell.
Why, then Pauline was alone when she fell, and it was a suicide.
She was alone when she fell, but it was not suicide.
Then how did she die?
She was murdered.
But you just said she was alone.
She was murdered when she was all alone.
What?
What I want to know is when the police are coming for this wicked sister. She's robbed her own flesh and blood. She's robbed me of $500,000, and that was just as sacredly mine as...
Come, prophet. Remember that all this world is a cloudland.
It is not the mere money, though that would equip my cause throughout the world. It is also my beloved one's wishes. Pauline, all this was holy in Pauline's eyes.
Ah, that's it. That's the way to begin. In Pauline's eyes.
What do you mean? How dare you?
In Pauline's eyes. Go on. In God's name, go on. The foulest crime the fiends ever prompted feels lighter after confession. I implore you to confess. Go on in Pauline's eyes.
Who are you, you cursed spy, to weave your spider's webs round me and peep and peer? Let me go.
Shall I stop him?
No, let him pass. Let Cain pass, for he belongs to God.
I can't believe it. Pauline is gone. I think I'd better go home.
Father, it is my duty, not only my curiosity, but it is my duty to find out, if I can, who committed the crime.
Which crime?
The one we are dealing with, of course.
We are dealing with two crimes. Crimes of a very different weight and by a very different criminal.
That's everything put away. Now, where's my hat?
Two crimes were committed against the same weakness of the same person in a struggle for her money. The author of the larger crime found himself thwarted by the smaller crime, and the author of the smaller crime got the money.
Oh, don't go on like a lecturer. Put it in a few words.
I can put it in one word.
I'm off home then.
Stay, Miss Stockton, just for a few minutes more.
All right.
The truth is one word, and a short one: blindness. Pauline Stockton was blind.
Blind?
Am I right, Miss Jane?
Quite right.
Is that why you wanted her to wear those spectacles?
Yes. Pauline she has had very strong opinions.
Yes, unless I misread you, Miss Jane, you would have given her eyeglasses if Pauline would have let you. But it was her special philosophy or fad that one must not encourage such diseases by yielding to them. She would not admit the cloud, or she tried to dispel it by will. So her eyes got worse and worse with straining. But the worse strain was yet to come. It came with this precious prophet, or whatever he calls himself, who taught her to stare at the hot sun with the naked eye. It was called accepting Apollo, and it compounded her disease until she could see almost nothing at all. Oh, if these new pagans would only be old pagans, they would be a little wiser. The old pagans knew that mere naked nature worship must have a cruel side. They knew that the eye of Apollo can blast and blind and...
Go on.
Oh, you see, whether or no that devil of a prophet deliberately made her blind, there is no doubt that he deliberately killed her through her blindness. The very simplicity of the crime is sickening. I would guess that Pauline and Kalon went up and down in those lifts without official help. Am I right?
Quite right.
And Flambeau has told me how smoothly and silently the lifts slide. Now, imagine the scene today. Went something like this. Kalon brought the lift to Pauline's landing and saw her through the open door to her office, writing in her slow, sightless way the will she had promised him. He called out to her cheerily that he had the lift ready for her and that she was to come out when she was ready. Then he pressed the button and shot soundlessly up to his own floor, leaving the gate lift open. Then he walked through his own office, out onto his own balcony, and was safely praying in full view of a crowded street when that poor girl, having finished her work, ran gaily out to where lover and lift were to receive her and stepped...
Oh, don't!
He ought to have got $500,000 by pressing that button. But that went smash. It went smash because there happened to be another person who also wanted the money and who also knew the secret about poor Pauline's sight. There was one thing about that will that I think nobody noticed. Although it was unfinished and without signature, Miss Jane Stockton and some of her servants of hers had already signed as witnesses. Jane, you signed first, saying Pauline could finish it later with a typical feminine contempt for legal forms. Therefore, you wanted your sister to sign the will without real witnesses. Why? I thought of the blindness and felt sure you had wanted Pauline to sign in solitude because you had not wanted her to sign at all. People like the Stocktons, you see, old money people, always use fountain pens. But this was especially natural to Pauline, yes?
Yes. She always used a fountain pen.
Oh, yes, by habit, and by her strong will and memory. She could still write almost as well as she could when she could see, but she could not tell when the pen needed refilling. Therefore, her fountain pens were carefully refilled by her sister, all except this one, this fountain pen. This pen was carefully not filled by her sister. The remains of the ink held out for a few lines and then failed altogether, and the prophet lost £500,000 and committed One of the most brutal and brilliant murders in human history for nothing.
Oh, mademoiselle.
Then, oh, there, my dear, you didn't know the lift gate was open, did you?
I was upstairs. I knew she was down here, finishing that accursed will. It gave me some satisfaction to think that while I was typing up Kalon's wild notions, my sister was down here, not writing him a will when he thought she was.
But if she wished to give him her money, then...
She was under his spell. He had already taken her sight. He couldn't be allowed to take her money too. And now he's taken something much more precious.
Father Brown, you must have followed everything devilishly close to have traced the crime to Kalon in 10 minutes.
What's that? Oh, no. I had to follow rather closely to find out about Miss Jane and the fountain pen, but I knew Kalon was the criminal before I came into the front door.
What?
You must be joking.
Oh, no, I'm quite serious. I tell you, I knew he had done it even before I knew what he had done.
But how?
These pagan stoics always fail by their strength. There came a crash and a scream that could be heard all the way down the street, and the priest of Apollo did not even lose a word of his litany. I did not know what it was that he had done, or what had happened, but I did know whatever it was, he had been expecting it.
That was Father Brown and the Eye of Apollo by G.K. Chesterton. Adapted for audio by Grettelyn Darkey. Directed by Grettelyn Darkey and produced by Thomas Marinchak. The cast, in order of appearance, was John Kenyon as Detective Flambeau, Rhiannon Owen as Pauline Stockton, Micaela Kreuzwieser as Jane Stockton, John H. Walker as Father Brown, and Scott Walton as Kalon. Foley and sound design by Joseph Adams and Jacob Gorsich. Original music composed by Grettelyn Darkey and mastered by Joseph Adams. A production of We Are One Body Audio Theater.